Well, you've been in an offensive line coach position before, but now just being in the role, how's it been making the adjustment?
Yeah, I've made the joke with a couple people in recruiting and talking to my wife more than anything that the last about 2 months now have felt like I've been doing the job for a year and a half, and that's because this prep leading up to spring practice. And so when you're coming back into a position like I've been out of the line for a couple of years, you start turning over every single rock and you're looking at what did we run, why did we run it, why do we like it, how do we rule it up, do I need to tweak anything, are there the normal adjustments that we make after every single season, and making sure that I've got my head wrapped all the way around it, because right now with where we're at Kansas State, I'm taking something that's already really, really good and making sure that I don't break it. Does that make sense? And so I have to do all the mental prep on the front end to get ready to roll. So getting back to spring practice has actually been like a refresher, because I'm actually working with something tangible as opposed to me in my head or in my office or watching tape and thinking of, okay, what if this, what if that? If this happens, what do we do? How am I going to get that coach? How am I going to get that taught?
Arnie, you go first.
I was going to say, as a offensive lineman, though, when you were coaching the tight ends, are you still kind of in the back of your mind watching those and just kind of critiquing?
Yeah, I've been better than I thought I was going to be at not just watching those guys and seeing what they're doing. Every now and then I look over. If I know it's something critical to what we're doing in the run game, I'm always checking, look to make sure that they're right. But I've got so much I've got to focus on with those 5-0 linemen that I trust Luke Wells knows what he's doing. He does a good job. Those guys were already a good position group. They're a mature group. They're a smart group. They can handle a lot, and so I've been able to kind of focus on my 5, but I do peek over there every now and then.
I was wondering the other way around also, when you were coaching tight ends, having been
Did you look back?
Yeah.
I think I've always done a good job of trying to focus on what my job is and stay in my sandbox. I'd say right now the only thing that happens every now and then is sometimes my eyes drift on a pass to see what's going on concept-wise, or hey, what was that, and remind myself, hey, you need to be watching the 5 protecting right now.
K-State's got such a rich history of offensive line play. Do you kind of feel like you've been given the keys to a Ferrari or a Lamborghini?
It's a group with a ton of tradition that was really, really well coached for a long time, and that I think goes prior to even Coach Riley being here and Coach Kleinman. It's just something that I've always had an O-line reputation, and so for me to get to be kind of the custodian of that has been really, really awesome. They're a well-coached group. I've got some veteran guys in the group that can help fill me in on some things, but I've also got enough guys that have limited playing experience or early in their development that I can get my hands around helping them come along. And so it's been great. I think I couldn't ask for a better setup to be in, of taking over an offensive line, than to be at a place where it's a priority.
What are the advantages and disadvantages maybe bringing in a transfer, especially with just 1 or 2 years left, where they aren't that well versed in the system and maybe have some different habits?
Yeah. Well, first thing I would say is I think this is an exciting time to be involved in college football. And everybody looks at there's some things that we're having to do right now that we don't want to do as we look at this pending settlement and the House litigation, okay? You can look at that in one of 2 ways, okay? We don't want to deal with that part of it, really. When we get roster limits imposed, how we have to go about that, that's different. But I think part of the reason why you get into coaching is you want a challenge. You want something that maybe there's a little gray area that I got to solve a problem. And what a better problem to solve right now than when I get a new group of players, right? How do I get them up to speed as fast as possible? How do I connect with them? Because anybody that's coming here as a transfer, even a guy that's coming in from high school, they were all coached and taught different things. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get them on the same page with you and with the other guys that are already there. And so what an awesome challenge to have. It's how fast can I teach them? What extra steps can we take to make sure that they understand what we're doing? And then how can I leverage what they already know and what they've been taught to help us? So I ask those guys that are new, that transfers all the time, after I install play, did you run this same concept? What was it called? What were some of the coaching points that you had? Hey, Like Amos, for example, I know him pretty well from the USC thing. Well, I worked for Lincoln Riley, so I know what play concepts they ran. Some of the play names are still the same, so I can use by comparison and analogy things that I know that he was taught. I can ask George Fitzpatrick, when you guys ran this scheme at Ohio State, how did your coach talk about it? And so those are all things that you can just bounce. You're just trying to create a broader sense of your collective knowledge and then tie it into what you're going to teach and do.
TP came in a couple of weeks and he looked like a new guy with that Coach True program. Looked like he'd been doing P90X for a while or something, but he just looked so skinny and in shape and healthier. Any of the other linemen make any big changes weight-wise? Or
Andrew Linegang had a heck of a winter because, first of all, on TP, I feel like that guy's got like a second lease on life. Okay, that's how I think about like my mom, for example. Okay, my mom had a little bit of a stomach cancer thing that she had to go to MD Anderson, get surgery. She's cancer free. She has been for like 2 years. Last summer, we went on family vacation. Her with my kids and all of her grandchildren was like seeing a woman with a second lease on life. She rode horses. She's in her 60s. She rode horses. She went hiking. She did all that stuff. Boundful energy, right? Okay, because he had a near-death experience. Okay, I see TP as a guy in his 7th year that after a couple injuries and now fully recovered from those and had a great offseason. Like, this is a guy that's moving around like he's got a second lease on life. It's exciting. It's not just a guy that's in his 7th year that has experience. It's a guy that, man, we're starting to see some things that were the young TP that I remember when I first got here and he had his first ACL injury in 2021. So I'm excited to see that. Andrew Linegang had a heck of an offseason. Gained a ton of muscle mass, lean body mass, carrying weight that he hadn't carried through a season before, and someone that I think is physically very, very well positioned for this next year.
Just regarding